Welcome back to the garage. I don't know where this video is going to end up, but we're going to do a few things and hopefully by the end of it, we'll be driving this thing. Maybe. We'll see. Guys, I tried to like the horn over there that Kaiser Willie sells. It's too high pitched. It's not, it's a meep meep, I'm a Jeep. It's not the beep beep, I'm a Jeep. You know? So I went and I picked up what I hope to be a much more correct one. I don't remember if I recorded something for this clip yet, but if I did, I'll insert it right here where you can hear what it used to sound like just for a reminder. So instead, I've got this 12-volt Spartan horn from Joe's Motor Pool. It's a pretty accurate reproduction from what I understand. Let's see how this thing sounds. I hope it'll sound a lot deeper. I don't know if I got the right bracket here, but it's at least a lot more stable than that little pancake one was. Let's see if it sounds like it should. Yes, that's a lot more like what it should sound like. Well, gang, I have run the list. There's nothing on here that is stopping me from being able to just start up the engine and get some heat into it. I do need to go ahead and circulate some coolant and try to bleed it a little bit. I want to go ahead and charge the battery while I'm at it. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, while I was not recording, I did go ahead and pull the spark plug cable off the coil, and I turned it over a bit just to get some oil, some of that new fresh oil circulating through the system, and to get some fuel up from the tank. And amazingly, that fuel looks bad already. Oop, we have a fuel leak right there at that fitting. Well, that's something to fix. Whew. Okay, with that fire hazard out of the way. Well, sanity check, neutral. Oh, well, that was just too easy. Leaving it choke. Let's bring it up a little bit. Okay, we got some work to do on the idle there. And my alternator never came on. All right, we got some smoke. Where is it from? It's from the exhaust pipe, as expected. I'm not particularly too worried about that. That's just the old remnants of the brake fluid burning off the exhaust pipe from that master cylinder leak. Fuel line isn't leaking anymore. I tightened up my fittings, no oil leaks that I can see. Water pump's not leaking. What you maybe see down there, that's just some spillage from before. Ah, interesting. I've got some oil splattering from right there at the bottom of the canister. Well, let me see if I can resolve that. All right, we got 50 pounds of oil pressure, no fuel. About 24, 25 amps. We're up to 160. 14 volts. Stuff falling off. Alternator light's getting funky. That's weird. Can't get it to idle though. Idle's real funky. Wants to die. Well, alright then. It runs. And it runs eye-wateringly rich. Just oof. It burns the eyes. So I need to do some tuning on it. That's gonna be interesting. I might need to go get a timing light. It's one of those things I've been assuming the guy before me did it all right, but over and over that assumption just fails me. What have we got up here? Just a bunch of dirt. Whole bunch of dirt. Well, that was a good test. Project Sunk Cost Fallacy actually does run again. So I did the post-run leak check, and it was leaking from the transfer case drain pan and the transfer case fill bolt. Just tighten those up and we'll see. I did forget to tighten up this fitting over here on the oil filter canister. Oops. So that splattered the firewall with oil, but no big deal. Other than the initial fuel leak, I'm not seeing any more. I'm not seeing any coolant leaks anywhere. So overall, we're looking pretty good. It still didn't idle well, kind of ran like crap. So this millennial is gonna go old school and figure out how one of these guys works. Yeah. It just gets me though. If I didn't have all this junk back on here, even without it being tuned up, if it had brakes, I could go drive it right now. There's no reason I couldn't. It's got lights and everything. Doesn't matter that it's dark. It's got insurance. I put insurance on the thing because I was so certain that it was gonna drive, but oh well. Well, I didn't get to drive the Jeep up there, but the dusty old workhorse computer gets another one. Since it's election day, I don't want to get too political on this channel because politics are just toxic. But there was one thing I was going to do to the Jeep when the original plan was to go drive it to my polling place. So, better late than never. It's silly, but it's kind of period correct. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. New master cylinders come in. This one is from Joe's Motor Pool because it's the MBGPW earlier CJ2A style. And since it's a different brand than the other one, I'm hopeful that this might solve the problem. And since I'm pretty sure if you guys wanted to see me struggle with brakes, you'd go back to the earlier episodes where I didn't know what the heck I was doing and watch that. But I've got the new old master cylinder out and all of its accoutrements. And I'll go bench bleed the new one and get everything swapped over. The day got away from me, but the new master cylinders and The old one, of course, is out. I have to do a post-mortem on that later to figure it out. There doesn't appear to be anything wrong with this fitting. I don't know what's up. But I just ran out of daylight and energy, so I did not get to bleed the brakes. Maybe tomorrow if I get out of work in time. Fast forward to the weekend, the brakes are bled again. No leaks. Right now, no leaks. So we've got it up on jack stands. About to open the garage door, run it, and take it for its first drive up on jack stands, testing the gears out and just see how it looks. Well, guess who forgot to turn on the camera? This guy. Went to all that trouble and got it all set up, and we started it up. And it ran just fine, of course, because I knew that part already. Put it into first gear, and it screamed. It does not want to live anymore. I couldn't figure out if it was like the clutch not being happy, because in this garage the sound was like it was coming from everywhere. But Dad was here. He pointed out that it is the rear differential, and then, duh, I got ahead of myself. And I didn't even check the fluid in the rear differential. And I know there isn't any, given the amount of leakage everywhere. So, yeah, the rear diff is definitely unhappy. And given the amount of slop in it, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just completely cooked. But I'm gonna have to get in there and figure it out. And then after all that, I didn't even test the brakes because I was so focused on the screaming noise from one of the differentials. So I get the test brakes later. But one of the other things that, this is pure ignorance on me. I've never driven a 4-wheel drive vehicle before. But I put it into 4 low, put it into first gear, and the front wheels did not spin. So I don't know if that means if the front differentials grenaded as well, or if in order to even use the front axle at all, you have to lock the axles. I don't know how that works, but I guess I need to figure that out at some point. So let me take a break, and I'm gonna have to go check that differential out. Unfortunately, the time has come. Schrodinger's differential. Is it wrecked, or is it just dry? Well, wasn't dry, but there's definitely some water in there. That's a bit problematic for the theory, because it sounded like it was dry. And see that? At the very top, what's coming out, that doesn't even look bad. It's not burnt, it's pretty fresh. Well, this little tag that came off says 4.3/8. That's got to be a gear ratio. I'm not looking forward to the smell, but at least it's cold, so it won't be so bad. All right. Let's see what it looks like. What are we stuck on? Come on. Whew. Yeah, there has been some carnage in here. I was always wondering what the heck this funky booger thing here was. And if you look at the inside, something let go. There's a bunch of damage right there on the cover. Well, it's not as rusty and destroyed as I was expecting, I guess. Here's what gets me. It's a little bit sloppy. I guess if we look at the cover, we can see an obvious oil line there, and then there's a rust line. So there was some moisture in here. Given the condition of the pinion seal, I'm not exactly surprised. I expected it to be way worse, I guess. But I'm a complete novice at this, so I don't even really know what I'm looking at. I mean, I know what I'm looking at, then, you know, yeah. I don't know if this has been replaced or what, or really how to identify what it is. But I think there are supposed to be some markings around the edge here that'll give me some clues. So after doing a little bit of looking around and thinking on this one, I think this is actually mostly okay. Now, there's a little bit of slop in here. It'll probably run, but that needs a rebuild, obviously. But if I chalk the driver's side wheel, transmission's in neutral, and I just spin the passenger side wheel, you hear that grinding? That's not the differential. That is, in fact, the emergency brake. That was a very frustrating problem that I kept running into, and I thought it wouldn't be all that bad later on. But those pads were just too thick. I've got the emergency brake adjusted all the way down as far as it'll go, given the aftermarket adjusters that are available today. I'm afraid I'm just gonna have to let that drum just figure itself out and scream the whole way for a while. I'd rather not, but basically this feels, I mean, this isn't good. This isn't right. Obviously, long term that's unacceptable, and I'm gonna have to do a rebuild on this. Maybe an entire new center section, given the amount of play on that, you know? But for the short term, little amount of stuff I'm gonna do, I think that's okay. And you put high enough weight oil in it, it'll take up some of that. Well, I'd hoped I'd be driving this thing today, but with the differential opened up like that, that won't be happening. I need to go find a new gasket, and Napa doesn't have them in stock locally, so I'll just have to order one. But at least it wasn't dry. I thought that noise was that it was dry, and that was gonna be awful, but no, it was full, and the oil wasn't even that bad. It looked like maybe it was fresh oil back in the 90s. Wasn't burnt though. That emergency brake has got to get figured out though, because that's really just driving me nuts. I don't know what's going on there. But I still got to look at the front differential. I don't want to assume that just because the rear differential had fresh-ish fluid in it that wasn't all burned up, that the front differential was similarly serviced. Can't assume that. Can't assume anything on this Jeep. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be driving it today like I'd hoped. I mean, it's so close. It's got insurance and everything. It could have... Nope. But that's okay. Unfortunately, it's starting to get cold. It was 32 or 33 earlier. It got up to 40 about right now, so... That doesn't have a top. That doesn't have a heater either. But I know I could just throw a hoodie on and it'd probably be okay. I had hoped to have it driving by now, but it might be a little bit longer. But thanks for hanging out in the garage. Thanks for watching. If you found this entertaining, informative, useful, anything, leave me a like, leave me a comment. It lets me know that the videos I'm making are at least entertaining to some people, and that lets me know what kind of videos to keep making. So, thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.